Having me, Neil. Um, so I've been working in drug discovery and dietary supplements for over 25 years now and formulated well over 50 different dietary supplements and several drug products that are in clinical research. But some of the foundations for my work started with me working with venomous animals. In college, I worked with cone snails, which are venomous snails in the ocean. And it's kind of cool if you never heard of a venomous snail. It sits in the bottom of the ocean. It sticks out its tongue, which looks like a worm. When a fish gets close, it stabs a fish, injects a paralytic venom. And once the fish is paralyzed, it drags it and eats it. So I studied these cone snails in college and graduate school and came up with several potential drugs for that. In fact, the first drug I ever worked on was launched as Prialt, Prialt, which is originally an extract of cone snail venom. But then I started working with cobra venom, and cobra venom as a concept, as a drug product, goes back well over 100 years. But my work more recently, over the last 15 years or so, has been how can we safely utilize proteins, peptides from cobra venom for the treatment of pain, disease, as in autoimmune diseases, antiviral applications, and as I said, in pain as well. So that led us to our homeopathic treatments for pain, which we're launching now in Avini as Plus Relief. So I'm going to share this. How do I do that? Share. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. And we're going to talk about this concept of how this works. How do cobra venom peptides work in the treatment of pain and inflammation? Let's do, Michelle, can you do that? So first of all, understand what it is. So Plus Relief is safe, it's non-narcotic, it's non-addictive, and it's been clinically proven. In fact, we have 47 published human clinical studies on these levels of cobra venom on the treatment of pain and inflammation. It's non-interactive with other medications, and it doesn't impair cognitive function. And as I said, it works not only in treating pain, but also in inflammation. I'll talk about how that works. So the way it works is as a pain reliever, it's a 10,000-fold dilution of Asian cobra venom from what we call the Thailand cobra, the monocled cobra. This ingredient is listed in the Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of the United States. It's got over 100 years of study behind it. In fact, in some of the clinical studies, in these 46 published human clinical studies in several animal models, it worked even when opiates didn't. And there's a reason for that, and I'll go into that. It works in a broad range of pain. And in the clinical study, there was an emphasis on cancer, pain, arthritis. I'll talk about that as well. In our published rat model, it actually showed that it was superior to morphine, lasting 4 hours longer than morphine and 600 times more potent than morphine on a molecular basis because you need so little of it. Now, I'm only going to speak for about 10 or 15 minutes about this, and there's a lot of information on these slides, but we are going to make these slides available to you because you're going to see there's tons of information on these slides. So it is a non-prescription, over-the-counter, anti-inflammatory and analgesic, and is made for stage 3 pain. And I'll explain that. The World Health Organization has what they call a 3-step pain ladder, because the understanding is if you have chronic pain, you're going up a ladder and it's going to get worse over time. So step 1 is what they call pain on a scale of 1 to 10, pain from 1 to 4. And step 1 pain, or stage 1 pain, is usually treated with over-the-counter drugs, aspirin, Tylenol, things like that. Once you get into stage 2 pain, that's where you might need a low dose opiate drug or prescription drug. That's from 4 to 7 on the pain scale. That's stage 2. Stage 3 is considered intractable pain. Stage 2 pain, let's go back. Stage 2 pain from 4 to 7 is defined as pain that interrupts your sleep and or your work. That's stage 2 pain. Stage 3 pain is intractable pain, which requires medication to be able to function. So the amount of stuff that's in this and Plus Relief is actually for stage 3 pain. That's as much as a 7 to 10 on a 10-point scale. It's a stage 3 moderate to severe pain medication. And the main ingredient is alpha cobratoxin, and as I said, it's diluted 10,000-fold. So there's the doses we use in our products anywhere from 30 to 140 micrograms per milliliter. We have patents on its use in using cobra venom to treat pain, and it's effective against pretty much all types of pain. But we talk about joint pain, muscle pain, neck pain, arthritis pain, repetitive stress, neuropathic pain, including back, headache, and migraine pain. You're going to see that's available as an oral spray and a topical gel and a roll-on and a squeeze bottle. So let's talk about types of pain because this is important. There's acute pain. That's where you have a traumatic injury, you just broke your arm, something like that. This product is not really meant for acute pain. It's really meant for chronic pain to be used over time. Now, when you look at chronic pain, pretty much every over-the-counter medication you get is for what they call nociceptive pain. Those are the nerves on the surface that deal with, you got a cut, a scrape, something like that. That's nociceptive pain. When you get into deep in the body, we have visceral pain or neuropathic pain. Most over-the-counter drugs don't treat that kind of pain. And in fact, a lot of opiates don't even treat visceral pain. In fact, visceral pain, the only time a man experiences visceral pain is if they're shot, they're stabbed, or they have kidney stones. Women experience visceral pain during childbirth. It's labor pain. So when a woman says, "You've never felt like this," she's right. You've never felt like this as a man. So women do experience visceral pain in that way. Now, the mechanism of action of the cobra venom and plus relief is so far upstream in the nervous system that it deals with all forms of pain. So it doesn't matter if it's visceral pain, neuropathic pain, nociceptive pain, you're going to get some relief from plus relief. So this kind of shows, we have a whole comparison chart that basically shows what the active is, the targeted relief, it's chronic and temporary relief. It works better over time, which is important. In fact, every other pain medication on the planet, over time, you grow more and more resistant to it. So you need more and more and more to get the same benefit. With these products, it works better over time. Your body grows more and more sensitive to the product, not resistant to it. So you need less over time to get the same benefit, which is interesting, but I'll talk about how that works. It's not addictive. It's safe for long-term use. It can be used in combination with other drugs. In fact, the mechanism of action is so wildly different than every other pain drug that it's synergistic with every other pain drug. So I tell people, if you're already on a pain protocol, stay with that protocol. Keep doing exactly what you're doing and add the plus relief to your protocol. And over time, you're going to find that you can wean down or take much less of your other medications. And in fact, many people get off of all their other medications in favor of this. There's no smell, no heat, no cold in the topical gel, just these peptides that deal with pain and inflammation. So when we talk about the level of relief versus other products and the side effects and severity, you can see when you start with low pain, you're talking about aspirin, ibuprofen, naproxen. That's between 1 and 4, or step 1. You get to step 2, start going low dose opiates all the way up to step 3, which is high dose opiates. And all of those are addictive. They cause all sorts of side effects like kidney distress, liver problems, constipation, depressed motor function. There's so many side effects with all these other drugs. We see none of that with the plus relief. Because it is a homeopathic drug, it is considered a drug, there are a lot of claims we could actually make for it as far as treating pain and inflammation. Much different than dietary supplements where you're not allowed to make those claims. So how does it work? And I know this is going to look really complicated to a lot of people, but when you look at the nerve, when you look at neurons don't touch. There's a gap between them called a synapse. And you have the presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron. And what happens is a neurotransmitter will fly across that space and attach to the receptors on the postsynaptic neuron. When those neurotransmitters attach, they open up those receptors to allow ions to go through. That's what the electrical charge is that goes through the nerves. So we target something called the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. And in fact, we're so specific, we only target the alpha 7 subtype of the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. That particular receptor is in the central nervous system, but it happens to also be on white blood cells that cause inflammation. So we modulate the signal that goes through the nerves, but we also modulate the inflammatory pathway. So in this case, we're modulating the acetylcholine receptor. Normally, two molecules of acetylcholine have to attach to that receptor. And we see it, I think you can see my mouse here and here is where acetylcholine binds. That opens up this channel and allows ions to go through. We block that channel. It completely blocks the channel, but not well. It blocks it on again, off again, off again, on again. So what happens is it modulates the signal that goes through that nerve. And this is important. It doesn't turn off the signal. It doesn't increase the signal. It modulates it. And because it can't be broken down like acetylcholine can be broken down by an enzyme called acetylcholinesterase, it's a much more efficient way to modulate that receptor. By doing this, it truncates big signals. So big signals become little tiny signals. Normal signals, heat, cold, pressure, the feel of temperature, all that stuff will be unaffected. But pain, which is a really big signal, becomes a little tiny signal. And for people that have already used the product and have chronic pain, they can tell you it's really a very interesting phenomenon because the pain is still there. You just don't care anymore. It's such a small signal, you can function. And because it's anti-inflammatory, it's actually helping heal the issue as well, because most pain is caused by an inflammatory cascade. So if you look again, we can see what the molecule actually looks like. Okay. And as I said, the protein peptides and plus relief target the same neurotransmitters as acetylcholine and has a neuromodulatory effect, basically turning down the volume. Now, the typical dose, as it says, between 30 and 140 micrograms per ml. So people are saying, is that enough? Is that enough to actually have a benefit? Well, if you look at Botox is dosed at 0.33 nanograms per ml. So we're actually 480,000 times more concentrated than Botox. So it is a lot. A very little bit of peptide can go a long way. That's my point. So when people say, is it enough to have effect? It certainly is enough to have an effect. This is a highly diluted active pharmaceutical ingredient in the homeopathic pharmacopoeia of the United States, made under GMP. So we're allowed to actually make these health claims for the product. And that's really important. So as I say, it is available as a oral spray and a topical gel. We recommend the oral spray for systemic pain. That's large areas of pain where you don't want to slather gel all over your body, like your back, head, neck pain, things like that. If you do have rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, we do large areas of osteoarthritis, we recommend using the oral spray. When you start using the oral spray, it will take as much as 5 days to maximize benefit as your body gets more and more sensitive to it. But that's where we talk about backaches, headaches, joint pain, migraines, neck pains, things like that. And not only is good for migraines, it's good in prophylaxis for migraines. So if you're the sort of person that gets several migraines a month, this is something you take every day in prevention of migraines. That's the oral spray. And the oral spray is a pleasant orange flavor. In fact, the orange flavor we use is the same as Tang. If you guys remember the drink Tang, that's the flavor we use in the product. Then we have the topical gel. The topical gel is in a roll-on or a squeeze bottle. It's the same product in the roll-on and squeeze bottle. It's just how you like to use it. That will work in localized areas in about 20 minutes. So it does work right away. It will work better over time as you continue to use it, but there's no heat, no cold, no smell. It's unlike every other topical pain product you've ever used. It's just these peptides from the cobra venom that go in and block pain and inflammation. And when you use it, when you first put it on, it does feel a little greasy. There is no grease in the product. It's just a methicel, which is the gelling agent. Just let it dry. Put it on, let it dry. It dries completely grease-free, and it will go into your body and it will stop pain and inflammation wherever you rub it on. Some people like the roll-on because it actually, you can feel where it goes on, and it's like acupressure, and use a lot less of the product. But if you, plus you don't have to get it on your hands if you don't want it on your hands. So the roll-on is a little more targeted, but then the squeeze bottle, you squeeze it on, rub it on wherever you want to use it. And especially for joint discomfort, arthritis, repetitive stress. We've actually done studies at Nova Southeastern School of Dentistry for TMJ in the jaw and dental pain, in fact, pre and post-operative dental pain. We even have some of our people that use it in tattoo parlors. They use it before and after a tattoo, and that they heal much faster and they have much less pain when they go through the tattoo process. Now that that's our market. Okay. So as I said, there's a lot of information on these slides. And I've made the slide deck available to Neil, who will put on the back office, so you guys can go over it at your leisure as you kind of listen to what I had to say and go over it. Chip actually asked me questions earlier about the mechanism. I hope I kind of went over it now so he sees the pictures and how it works. But that is how the product works: completely safe, non-toxic, non-interactive. Like most anti-inflammatories, it can cause mild dehydration. So if you see on the warnings, it says may induce a headache. That's because of mild dehydration. So if you use a lot of it, the recommendation is to drink water. And that's the only issue with the product.
Hey, thanks, Rick. Before we finish the recording, I'm going to ask Darren Sliver to get on. And if you really want to know what this kind of product can do, Darren has a great testimonial. Darren, are you there?
I'm right here.
All right, it's all you.
All right. Well, I was listening to that, and I was like, I might throw off the bell curve on some of the stuff that Rick just said. So I was, introduced to it, and because I have, I've had 37 plus years of chronic pain from a hip injury. I've had 8 hip operations. I've had 3 total hip replacements within that 8, and between my 7th and 8th operation, I went 17 and a half years without a hip on my left side. And of course, when I got my last hip put in, that was April of 2013. The pain didn't go away. I was still hurting really bad because, you go that long without a hip, which is a major part of your body. You have a severe limp and severe, I guess you can call it misery with, my back and stuff. I couldn't stand straight. I couldn't escape the pain and stuff. If I sat for a long time, I hurt. If I stood for a long time, I hurt. If I tried to sleep, I hurt. I just couldn't get away from it. And when this was introduced to me, and I heard, the story I heard was Neil's story about what it did for his Achilles tendon. And I said, if it takes half my pain away, I'll be extremely happy. Wasn't expecting what happened, and got the product. And, we were new. It was the oral spray. So I took 2 sprays under my tongue, and, my wife sprayed 3 spots on my back that were really bad. We sat down and watched an episode of our show, and 45 minutes later, I stood straight up. I wasn't standing like a caveman. I didn't hurt. I was walking really good, and I had a huge smile on my face, and I was like, holy smokes, who can I call now? So the first person I called was Chip, and then I called Dave, and, I couldn't really call anyone on the East Coast because it was late at night, but 45 minutes and it was gone. And I've literally tried everything my entire life to get rid of it. Chiropractic care, massage therapy, acupuncture, cold laser therapy, CBD, nothing ever touched it. And this touched it. In fact, it's still, I forgot to take it yesterday until last night before I went to bed. And then I slept like a baby. And the thing is, I wasn't hurting yesterday, but I also want to keep it fresh in my system and stuff. So make a point that, when I walk by the counter, there it is, So I only use about 2, maybe 3 times a day at the very most, but, I feel great. I've got more flexibility. I'm able to walk distances. I'm able to do things I hadn't done in a long time. I not that I sit for long periods of time, but, I'm not, when I stand up from, laying down, sleeping, or even yard work or things that I'm doing, I don't hurt. The only time that it came, and it wasn't even near the same amount, but when we were in Florida, I was a little uncomfortable, but nothing like it had been before. So it really works.
Hey, thanks, Darren, for that. I appreciate everybody spending the time. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll start another one with questions.